Hello, BTS lovers. Will BTS's Jungkook end his singing career in the military? A question that resonated in the hearts of many of his fans after an emotional event occurred in the Division 5. That night, amid the cold air enveloping the military base, Jungkook performed in front of his comrades, singing a song that not only shook emotions, but also opened wounds hidden in the hearts of the soldiers. To his surprise, one of them suddenly burst into tears, turning the atmosphere into a great stir. However, the cry did not belong only to the soldier. There is Jimin, a friend and fellow BTS member, who also feels deep sadness. The night was an unforgettable moment, not only for those present but also for Jungkook himself. It all started with a simple request from his colleagues. After an exhausting physical exercise, one of the soldiers asked Jungkook to sing. "Hyung, we want to hear your golden voice." "Just once before the night is over," said a young soldier, his tone full of hope. Jungkook smiled slightly, looking at his colleagues who were already waiting enthusiastically. He took a simple microphone prepared, then sat down on a wooden bench in the middle of the small hall of the base. She sighed deeply before beginning to sing a very heartfelt song, a song of her own creation full of emotions and memories. The first notes of his voice filled the room, flowing softly but filled with feeling. The soldiers, who were usually accustomed to the sound of commands and the roar of weapons, were stunned. Jungkook sings as if every word that comes out of his lips has a deeper meaning, touching the recesses of the heart of everyone who hears it. In fact, in some parts of the song, his voice sounded hoarse, as if he himself was struggling to hold back emotions. In the middle of the song, a soldier sitting in the front row began to lower his head. Her shoulders trembled, tears began to fall without her being able to bear it. The cry echoed in the small room, drawing everyone's attention, including Jungkook. The soldier, as it turned out, has its own story connected with the song that Jungkook sang. After the show, he told Jimin, who accompanied him, "That song reminds me of my mother, Hyung. He always played BTS songs at home when I was a kid. But ever since I joined the military, I haven't been home. I don't even know if I can see him again." Jimin, who heard the story, immediately felt devastated. He knew what it was like to miss someone, and he knew exactly how Jungkook would feel that emotional burden. "He sang with all his heart tonight," Jimin said in a whisper to the soldier. "Maybe it's because he also misses something or someone." Meanwhile, Jungkook seemed to be silent for a long time after the song was finished. He did not expect that his song, which he wrote with a longing heart, would have such an impact. He approached the crying soldier, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "I know how it feels to miss. Thank you for listening to my song with all your heart." However, the moment not only changed the mood of the soldiers. Jimin, who had been known as a close friend of Jungkook, felt a deeper sadness. In the days following the incident, Jimin was seen more often alone. He seems to be thinking of something. When asked by one of his colleagues, Jimin only replied in a low voice, "I saw Jungkook that night, and I felt that something had changed." She sang like it was the last time she could do it. I can't imagine if she really stopped singing. For Jimin, Jungkook's voice is something he has always admired, even since they were trainees. That voice is the reason they can withstand the pressure of the entertainment world. And now, hearing that voice on the military base, in an atmosphere far from the glitter of the stage, made Jimin realize how precious those moments were. This question continues to haunt many. Will Jungkook stop singing after that? That night, after the show was over, some soldiers asked him, "Hyung, are you going to sing for us again?" Jungkook smiled faintly, but the answer he gave left everyone speechless. "I don't know," he said. "Maybe this is the last, or maybe I'll do it again if the time is right. But I want you to know, tonight was one of the most meaningful moments of my life." His words left a deep imprint in the hearts of everyone who heard them. Even for Jungkook himself, the night was a reminder that even though he was in the middle of military duty, music remained an integral part of his life. Jungkook is known to the world as one of the best vocalists of his generation. His distinctive voice has touched millions of hearts around the world. And that evening, in the middle of a military base, he showed that his voice is not only for his fans, but also for his colleagues on state duty. The soldiers' cries, Jimin's grief, and the emotions that filled the room are testament to how powerful Jungkook's influence was as a singer and as a human being. No one knows what will happen in the future, but one thing's for sure, that night, Jungkook wasn't just singing. It touches the heart, embraces grief, and gives hope. After that emotional night, the mood in Division 5 changed. The soldiers, who previously only knew Jungkook as a member of BTS, now see him as an ordinary human being who has the same longing, sadness, and strength as them. Jungkook's voice that night not only left a deep impression, but also became a link between them, uniting flavors through simple but meaningful harmonies. For Jungkook, the events of that night were a reminder that his music has tremendous power, even in conditions far from the glitter of the world stage. He was grateful, but also overwhelmed. In a conversation with Jimin the next day, he expressed his feelings. "I never thought that singing in front of them would have such an impact," Jungkook said as he looked up at the ceiling of the barracks. "I just want to give you something meaningful, but seeing them cry, I felt, am I giving too much emotion? Did I resurrect a wound that should have remained buried?" Jimin, who listened, only smiled a little. He knew exactly how heavy the burden was on his friend. "You know, Kook," Jimin replied, patting Jungkook on the shoulder. "Sometimes healing a wound is the way to heal it. The songs you sing don't just make them sad. You also give them the strength to deal with that longing." Jimin's words gave Jungkook a little peace of mind. However, the big question still hangs over his mind. Will he sing again? Or will that night be the end of his voice on the military base? The next few days, Jungkook was more alone. He was seen sitting in one corner of the base, staring blankly at the mountains in the distance. He could not shake off the image of the crying soldier's face, nor the sound of the thunderous applause he received after he had finished singing. In his mind, he kept wondering, is this the right time to separate himself from the music world? However, when he tried to talk about this to Jimin, the response he received was very unexpected. "You're never going to stop singing, Kook," Jimin said firmly. "We may be in the military now, but music is part of us. Even if you try to stop, I know your heart will never let go." Jimin's words made Jungkook smile a little. I knew Jim was right. Music is a part of him that he cannot lose, no matter how far he tries to escape from it. A few days after the incident, Jungkook received a letter from a fan. The letter was not delivered through official channels, but through a soldier who happened to know the fan's family. The letter was written by hand, and each of his words contained warmth and gratitude. "Oppa Jungkook, I heard that you sang on a military base and made a lot of people cry. I just want you to know that your voice is the reason I get through my tough days. I lost my dad last year, and one of the things that kept me going was hearing your songs. I'm sure, that night, you gave the same strength to the soldiers there. Never stop singing, Oppa. We all love you, no matter where you are."